at 8, she was still really adorable. She's still adorable, I have to say. She's 25, she's cute. She was really adorable, but she was very, she was just starting, hadn't started growth hormones, so she was really cute. Curly hair, gregarious, talked to stone lawn ornaments. She talked to anybody, anything. She did. Her vision wasn't that good. I could stand up here and give you a long list of her deficits and disabilities. I could give them to you in lay terms. I can give them to you in medical terms. To the world, she had mental retardation. That's basically how the world saw her. Now, when she was young and I was busy letting go of my dreams, and it was like, fine, she won't go to college. It was like, fine, she won't go to high school. It's, you know, letting go of all these things. The one thing that I really wanted, I wanted her to have language. I'm so hyper-verbal, even though I'm quiet. I really, really wanted her to have language. So please, 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 please let her have language. And she has language. She doesn't stop. But she has extreme linguistic dysfunction, and her language is abundant but disordered. Sometimes there's stuff in there that's meaningful, but lots of cocktail party chatter and lots of this is her mode, this is her means to make herself known. And it goes on. It's like I asked too hard for her to have language. So she's challenging. For me, as her parent and advocate, I really wanted to know for a long period of time who she was, how I could unlock her hidden abilities, to know in some deep way what made her happy, not only what she liked to play with, her play skills were very limited, but was she happy with a crowd of people? Was she happy in a quiet room? Was she happy with music? Was she happy with silence? I mean, any of those kinds of things, to really know her. How could she learn, how could she best learn, by what modality? I mean, so I was very, very busy in that period of time, tears gone, busy, trying to figure out who she was as a human being. The wider my door was opened, the older she got, the more questions and issues were raised. So that book that I was never going to write, I started to feel like, wow, I have a lot of things to say. Loving Rachel, as I said, was our story. It was a family story about loving Rachel and our journey from grief. Rachel in the world is her story. Actually, the way it's shaped, it's a series of linked stories in a way, because chronologically it covers a long period of time. It starts when she's 8, it ends when she's 22. And each of these stories circles around an issue, because the wider you open your door, the more your child is outside your arms, the more issues are raised. I'll give you an example of one really early issue. Rachel loved to swim. She started doing hydrotherapy at her school, and wow, the swimming was so great. She really loved it. She was good at it. She could swim with her siblings and kids, and she started to have seizure-like activity when she'd come out of the pool. And I was really, really adamant that she keep swimming. I wanted to solve the seizure problem, but I didn't want to take her out of the pool. And so this occasioned my thinking, first of all, why was I so adamant that she would go swimming, given this? And also, it made me think a lot about her, and this is just like a couple of sentences to give you a sense of this chapter. If Rachel was never again in the water, she might never ask to swim. She would never tell me she missed swimming. Could I say then that I was not depriving her of anything, that she did not really care? Or would this be like saying that pleasure is only what one is able to recall and describe? So when she was younger, those are the kinds of questions. Later on in the book and in her life, the questions really were much broader things about what are her rights and what are the rights of people in the world. What can I expect of, not just of social services, but what can I expect of strangers, especially with her nonstop talking. This raised many, many social issues, because you can say, yeah, there should be no barriers, there should be Braille, there should be signing at all events. I mean, you can say all kinds of things that absolutely should be, but what about a kid who talks nonstop? I mean, what can you ask of people you don't know? So it's lots of issues that were raised. But I will say, Don't be afraid. Your child will show you the way. That's, I think, really true. Earlier on, a couple minutes ago, I said that I really hated when people suggested that Rachel could teach me something. I was really offended by that notion, that she was brought to me so I could teach her something. I mean, she could teach me something. I had a lot to learn, but I didn't think that she was put on earth to teach me. I didn't think that was her role. I really rebelled against that. But now that she's 25, I'm able actually to see that in fact, as her mother, I really have learned a lot. So it takes it out of her. It's not her job to teach me, but in fact, in raising her, I've learned a lot. Before Rachel, my own sense of what it meant to have a meaningful life, a good life, was really very narrow. I thought in a lot of ways that a good life could be measured by one's accomplishments. I didn't see the vast range of what can be defined as a good life, and that a parent's job is helping to understand her child to make her as independent as possible, and over her years in school to help her find that good life. Here's something else I learned being Rachel's mother. I'd been very politically active as a college student, but I'd put that aside a long time ago and kind of forgotten. I mean, I think my values were the same, but I certainly wasn't an activist. When Rachel came along, I began to think a lot about what it means to live in a democracy and how part of our responsibility as a citizen is to take care of those of us who are less able. So it's reminded me of my responsibility and has kept me going beyond my needs and Rachel's to be an advocate for children and adults with all kinds of disabilities. So Rachel in the world, if I were to describe it, I would say this is what life is like for a teenager with developmental disabilities. This is what life is like for a young adult who is dying to get out of her mother's house and just is in a state of constant rage.